Okay, so that's our first riff. So we're going to slide into the 7th fret of the E string. And then we're going to hit this 5 down here on the A string, but we're also going to hit the open D, and we're going to bend this 5 away from it to make a little wave, to make it a little edgy. That's a trick Paige talked about in that documentary, It Might Be Loud, I think it was called. So you kind of do the... And so like I'm sliding into the downstroke, and then I'm going up on those 2 notes there, and I'm bending that 5th fret of the A string up away from the D string. Makes it more edgy and cool sounding. So what we have here is the E power chords, 7 and 9 down there. We got 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a 1E and a 2E and a 3. So after the 3E, so we got 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a 1E and a 2E and a 3. So after a couple times of that, we're going to go to this riff that goes quicker into the change. Okay, so you got the long one in the beginning. And then the verse. Okay, so what we had there was the whole lot of love. So that's kind of the D power chord sliding into the 7, the E power chord. Want a whole lot of love. And then I think there it's kind of a good time to hit a couple big bombs on that. And then you got this 9th fret part of the E major chord, D string, G, and B. And you can make that slide down because he's got another guitar that has a slidey effect on that. So you got want a whole lot of love. Want a whole lot of love. Back into the next verse. So let's try that together. 1, we're going to come in after the 3. 1, 2, 3. And practice that thing. That thing is weird to get used to, but you want to get that little bit of an edge. You could just do it simple. 7, 5, 7, 5. But once you try doing that little thing, it's a lot more fun. And then we're going to have that big solo. So it's always 2 big E bombs there. And then you got a riff. And then. So you can either try to play those with the solo or just kind of go around those and kind of listen to what he's doing and not worry about the bump bump and come in between them. So let's look at that solo. We're going to have this E twice. Okay, so we have the 2 E hits, and then we're in the E minor pentatonic. So typical bend on the 14 of the G string, and then the 12 and the 12. And then we got 15, 12 in the B string. Double pull off, 15, 14, 12 in the G. And then 14, 12, 14 bend. And you could pull off that second string. Then we got another. Now we're coming down here to the first position. Typical bluesy slidey thing. Pull off to the G. Then you're going to have a ba-da-dum, 2-0-0. Then you're going to have so dee-da, 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 da. So it's so let me do those two in time. So we got see how that one was quick? Da-da-da-da-da. So that part is really fast. So okay, so that one we're just doing the same beginning, bending the 14, 12, 12, bending that 15 on the B string. Are we getting that pinky underneath that? Two more E's. So that's the 17 and the 20 on the B string. Big wide bend on that 20. And then we come down, we're hitting that 17 on the B to 19 on the G. And then we're pulling the 20 to the 17. So it's. And then we have this new riff. So that's the 17 on the B and then the 19 on the little E string going up a step and a half. And then we got a chromatic. And then we got 20. And the last one goes major pentatonic there at the end. So that was 17 to 19. Bend that 3 times. And then the fret right underneath it on the little string, back to that second string. So one more time, the whole solo. Back to the a little bit out of tune after bending all those strings. So let's hit that whole solo one more time. So we have a keyboard intro, and then the verse gets going, and you have these little fills on guitar that come in. We have like a... Okay, so we had 2, 2, 2, 0, 2 on the D string, and then we have... So there's a little bit of a hammer there. Hammer to the 2 there of the A string, and then we... So that's A string open, and you got that 3rd fret with the little quarter step bend on it. And then we're back to like an E. Then we're gonna have. So you kind of wait for the 1 E and you hit on the of the 1. So 1 E and. So 2 0 2 0 3 0. So D D D D D, and then wait C C C. So all this again was. I'm calling the part A riff. We have. Okay, and that part will happen a whole bunch of times in the song. So we got B string first, and then G to B, so it's hammer in to that open to 2, and then open G to that 2, hammer then into the 3 from the 2, O3, and then pull it off and back in the same kind of way, and then O2, O at the end. So you got 3, 4. Okay, so we got that same B to C riff after that. So the walk up here in these chords was 5s, 7s, 9, 8, 8, and then 11, 12, 10. And then we're back to that A riff. And then the D chord to C chord thing. A riff again. Okay, then we're going to get into the solo. Now the solo is going to go a lot like that first kind of riff we did. We're going to go to the G string and back. So we got there's a new measure here. We're going to wait for the 1, so it's going to go 2, 1. So we have 1, 2E and a 3E and a 4. 1. Okay, so it's O2 on the A, and then O2 on the D, O2 on the G, O2 again on the B, where you'd think it'd be a 3 a lot of times for a pentatonic, but he sticks with that 2 in there. That C sharp makes it sound different. So you got 1. So once we get to that high E up there, we're going to have B string and then a couple E's with the 3 open on the B string. So we're going to bend that 2 on the G string, pull it, 2, 2 over here, and then so we took a D string to the second fret of the A, and then we go back to that A riff where we had that little bend on the 3. So all together, the solo so far, we got. Okay, so that was a da-da-dum, pull off D string, down to that 2 on the A string, same thing down here, G to G string, same thing down here, B string, 202, so it's always 202, 202, 202, little E and then 2 to 4 slide, 202, and then, so that last one is 1, 2, 0, slide back up, G to D, back into that D to C chords thing. So one more time in the solo, we got 4, 1. Okay, then we're in a new verse. We do that same A riff again, 2 times through. Then we have the. Then we got the D to C. So one of these times you can hit a little sus chord with that pinky in there. And then we got. So here's the keyboard solo. We're going to start out with sliding all these 12s down, these 3 strings down here. And And then you get into the keyboard groove, and we're gonna have some basic kind of chords. He kind of mixes it up. I'm gonna show you kind of how to comp this a little bit. So once you got this 12 sliding down, you kind of wait for a while, and then you can hit a couple more. A few of those things like that, and then we're gonna get into like a 1, 2, 3. That kind of thing. So you got 12s, 14s, and then 16, 15, 15. Back to the 14s, and then you'll have stuff like boom. Okay, basically just kind of does that type of thing. You could have 3 or 2 note chords. You could do the 2nd and 3rd strings on those. So long keyboard solo, eventually we'll end on like a E minor chord. Drums pick us back up into the part A. We end up doing like 6 of those that time. We've got our chords. Okay, then we have the final guitar solo. Okay, so this one you got to just kind of like look at I suggest like the Songster tab. Songster tab has all the like rhythms built into it. You can listen to the real song at the same time. But I'm going to run you through each little part here. It's hard to get the timing. You got to listen to it a lot. It's nice and slow, very tasty, very placed, everything very well. So first we're going to have. So we slid 7 to 11, hit it again, 9, 7, and then we're going back into the 11. Kind of the same. Kind of quicker there. So we have a bend on the 9, 7, 6, 4. Kind of a quick 4, 6, 4. A couple bends up and down there, and then we're gonna have a kind of a quick one, and then it is on the stone. So those go like with the vocal. And then we get a kind of quicker set here. 6, 7, 6, 4, 2. Four, 6, 7, 6, 7, 9, 9, 7 into the 11. Then we got a couple of these 7, 11s. And then we have a couple chords here, little 12s, 14s. So listen and play along with that solo. That one's kind of tricky, the way it has so much space to it. And it kind of varies, the same types of sounds and stuff goes around the vocal and things like that. So excellent Robbie Krieger guitar stuff as always. Riders on the Storm, The Doors, 2 pages of tabs. All right, Roundabout by Yes, Steve Howe on guitar. We have some harmonics here, 12th fret, bottom 3 strings. And this little riff here is 7, and then a hammer-on pull-off, 5 to 7, and then pull-off to the 3. 7 on the B, back to that little 5. Now we're going to do the bass note harmonic. And then the chord. Same type of riff, end on that 7 on the B, and then. So we have 4, 5, 7 on the G, kind of double hammer on. Same on the D. 3rd fret of the 5th string, C note, back to the bass. And then these hold out a long time. Get the 7, 5, back to 7. And then we're going to have to finger pick this. We're going to go to a D chord. Okay, and then we're into the groove. So that was D bass note with little 2, and then 3 here on the bottom. Do a double pull off, 3, 2 open, the 3 on the 2nd. Now we're gonna have C bass with little E, 3, 1, 0 on the B, and then 2 and 3. 3 goes to open on the B, and then A minor. We got the A bass with that 1 to 2, and then G. Got 2nd string to 3rd string, opens with that G bass. And then 2 on the E and 2 on the G. So we're starting on the C here. We're gonna have, and this is like a G with a B bass. A minor, G, F sharp minor. Okay, then we're into a little groove that's gonna have some harmonics. Okay, so that's like the little 2 on the harmonics on the 12th, and then 7s on the next set, and then 5s on the next set. So these are the middle strings now. So it's, and then here we have a couple extras. Okay, so and then there's a riff that comes in. So that's pull off on the D, 2 pull offs on the A, pull off 3 to open on the E. Now it could just be like, if you're going to make it a little simpler. Up to you. Then we have the harmonics, and it kind of has extras the second time. Then these harmonics are going to take us into the next change. Now we get into this thing where we have an A bass. So the A bass kind of pedals with these chords. The chords are 7, 5, 8, 9, 7, 10, 10, 9, 12. Okay, then we get into a B minor. We really don't need the bottom string there, the small string. A bass with that. G bass with that, with the thumb maybe. And then we have this chord here. So that's a G bass and then a 3, 0, 1, 3 on the bottom 4. Okay, so we got. Okay, then we get into like a groove off this E minor. Okay, so we have the E minor, and then we have the top of an F sharp minor, and the top of a G. So that's 4, 2, 2, 2, 5, 4, 3, 3. So we got. So that's a B minor with a little E open. Okay, so we got. Now we can keep going with that same rhythm, or you can kind of switch this up to making the F sharp minor 4, 4, 2 open, open, and the G 5, 5, 4 open, open. So we got. Okay, so that's your next groove. E minor, and a type of F sharp minor to the G and back. So we got, this is like the verse. Now the third time, you jump ahead to that. And then there's a variation that you could do here. That'd be a F major 7, 3, 2, 1 open on the bottom with a G bass. So you can decide which one you think is better. That one, or they probably switch it up every now and again. Okay, and this thing has a little extra 2-beat phrase on the B flat. So we have a G. I'm doing the thumb bass. You don't really have to do that, but you got 5, 4, 3 down here from the D to B. And that's the 5, 5, 5, same strings. That's a C chord. This is part of an F, 7, 5, 6. So we got. Once you hit that F, go to this B flat. That's a 6 up here with an 8, 7, 6. Like I say, you don't need to do that thumb bass if it's hard. So we got. Okay, so that's a great and kind of difficult groove to try to work on. Then when we finish that, we're going to kind of have a E bass, 7, 9 on the G, 7, 8 on the B. So it's like. Okay, then we're back into the groove. And we're gonna do that B minor again with the little E on top, open. It kind of sets up a new verse. So then we have the verse. We got that. Now coming out of that thing, we're gonna have 4, 5, 7, 4, 5, 7, just like we had in the intro. 2 C notes, 1 B note on that second fret. So we got. Then we're gonna have A bass, G bass, F sharp bass, and then we're back to the groove. So we got. To that thing. And then we settle into this one again. And that gets into the. Now we're gonna have this riff again. We have a new thing. Okay, so that's E, F sharp, G to A. So O, 2, 3, open, and then kind of a quick hammer on. So that's like B, A, G, A, G to F sharp, and then a quick one there. Okay, a 1, 2, 3, 4. 3, 4. Okay, so let's take a quick review of everything we got. Then we got the D finger picking. got the harmonics. Okay, then we have our groove in E minor. Sets up the verse. Okay, G groove is B flat. And then you have like a, then you're back into your groove. B minor. Sets up another verse, right? Then we have our back to the groove. And then the next time you have that. Okay, I'm going to do another lesson very soon. I'm going to go to the electric, and we're going to talk about some of those extra riffs that happen and the solos and stuff like that. So hope you all dug this. I love Steve Howe, man. He's one of the greatest guitarists of all time. Yes, fantastic band. Roundabout. Talk to y'all soon. All right, this is going to be Money by Pink Floyd. We're going to start out with this riff based on this B power chord. We got 2, 4, 4, 2, and the big string 2, 5, 2, 5, and this is in 7/4. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so that's your main riff. Let's count this one in like 5, 6, 7. Okay, then the verse starts, and we're going to keep playing this riff a bit. And then we got. So that's just 5, 2, 5, 2, kind of in the middle, all that. So let's try it again. Money. Here we go. Next one. It's a hit. Now once we finish the 2, 5, 2, 5, we're gonna go to this 4 here. Okay, so that was 4, 4. This is part of a F sharp power chord. 4, 4, 4, 4, 2, going down those strings. And we hit that 2, 5 on the big string. 4, and then lower 4, 4, 3, 2. To that 5th string 2, making kind of an E power chord here at the end. And then 3, 5, 2, 5. So let's do that again. Now the same thing happens for that next verse and change. the sax solo starts. And the sax solo is going to be 4 of these again. It's probably 8 of those, actually. So we went up to the E power chord, 7, 9, 9, 9, 7, and the big string, 7, 10, 7, 10 on the A. And then we're back, so it should be 4 of those, 8 and 4. Change. And then we got 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and then we're to the solo. So that's that B power chord. Okay, then we're going to do the solo. So the solo is going to start here. We're going to be in B minor pentatonic. So we're going to go. So that's the first third of the solo. So let's take a look. We got the 9 and the 7 here, bending the 9 to the 7. So that's a staccato one on that 9. It ends quick, right? Hold that 7, little vibrato. 10 on the B string. And then 7 to 10 hammer. Same thing there. And then we're going to slide into this 12 with the ring finger. Going 12, 10, 12. So we got. So that was bump, bump, pull off. So that was that same kind of a 9 bend. 7 to 9, then 9 on the D string. So we got a bend on that 9, little 7 to 10 on the B string. Slide into that 12 again. So let's try it all again. So we got that slight bend at the end of that. Then we're going to bend this 12. So that's going to be 10, 12, and then 12, 10. Then we're going to slide this 11 down to 9, to the 7, 9, 7, and then 9 to 7, 5, 7. So we got. Then we're going to have. So that was A string, 7 to 9, 7 on the D. Then we got to pull off to that lower 9, 2 7s on the G. So. One more time. Then we're going to bend this 14, 1.5 steps. So that was a big bend on the 14. 14, 12, 10. 12, 10 on the B. And then we got to pull off 9 to 7. Sliding the 9 into 11. And then we got this last riff. Okay, so we're bending that 10 up. 10, 8, 7. 9, 7, 6, 10, 9. So let's go from big one. Okay, do a little style points. That was just a little pull off. Okay, so let's do the whole solo again. All right, so that's the first third of the solo. All right, so now we're going to get into the second part of the 3 parts of the solo. So the solo ended with so we got our new part there. We ended with this riff. We're going to have these 7s on the 2nd and 3rd string to the 9 on the D, and then those 9s on the same 2 strings back to that 9th fret of the D string. So we got 7s, 9, 9s, 9, and then we're going to slide into this 11 and 10 on the G string and B string. And then we have a big long held 9 on that G string to these 2 7s on the bottom. So once again, we got so we just slid into the 12 there on the B. And a lot of times you do a couple hits on that and then give some vibrato at the end of it. So once again, we got another one of those. So that was a hammer on 7 to 9 on the G to the 9th fret of the D. So that's kind of the 2 middle strings on the 7th fret. Kind of going down to that 9 on the A string. And then we hammer into this D string. Kind of a reverse rake too. Then we're going to bend that one, then we're going to double bend. Okay, so we got this big bend, then down, and that was like a wide bend to a normal bend, and then 7th fret, so 1 bend and then 2 bends. So let's look at all that one more time. So we got another 12 on the second string, and then 10, 10. So once again, we got 10 and 10. Bending that 12 and then down. And then we're gonna go. So we're gonna put our pinky on this 10th fret of the B string. Bend that 9 on the G. Little double bend there. And then we're gonna do that same riff, but we're gonna do it on the lower octave. And that's the end of the second half of the second third of the thing. So it's hammered into the 9th fret of the D string from the 7, back to 7, and then on the A string, 10, 9, 7, and then on the big E, 10, 9, 8, 7. Okay, so let's go over that whole solo again. So let's do that last riff. 3, 4. About one more time. 3, 4. And then the next one starts the same. So that's sliding into the G string 11. And then 10, 12, 10, 12. We're going to bend that. So once again, we got. So 10 to 12 to 12 on the B string. So that's going to be the 19th fret of the B string. And then we're bending the highest note on the small string there, the 22nd fret. So you got ba-dum-bum-bum. And then we're coming back down here. So we slid into the 12 on the B, 10. So occasionally you have these big first finger bends. And on that B string 12 again. So let's look at this all one more time. So we got. So here we have this 14, big bend. So we got 9, 7, 9, 11. Now this time we're going to have this bend. So that was a big wide one and then a normal one. And then our third string. So we got the bum, bum, 21st and 19th. Bend that one up. So these are the highest two frets we got here. And then. So that's. Da da da. So da da dee da da. Last part. And on that one you can kind of pull off. Then we're gonna go. Okay, we got that. 21 and 19 there. And then we got this last riff. we're back to that. So let's take that whole last solo there we got. We're going to get into the last verse. It's going to do all the same type of stuff. And then the bass starts going 2, 2, 5, 2, 5, 2, 5. The guitar kind of goes on that B minor chord. All right, so let's do the whole solo again. I'll try to do all the way through. All right, Money by Pink Floyd, David Gilmour, killer solo, one of the greatest of all time, of course, like most of his. So thanks for watching, Damon Wood Guitar Lessons. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already, and we'll see you soon. Thanks a lot.